Turning to some Med Team news tonight, diabetes is increasing at an alarming rate in this country. According to the CDC, cases have risen from 27 million back in 2018 to an estimated 37 million today. And as KLTV7's Christine Guevara reports, younger patients are now finding themselves fighting this disease.
Diabetes and obesity have continued to affect Americans over the last 20 years, and so education has become the focus for this UT Health program called Diabetes University.
Just coping with the day-to-day challenges of diabetes and working through some of those issues. We try to help them, just work through that and preventing diabetes-related complications.
Diabetes educator Marcy Wright says they offer self-management training like learning how to meal plan, incorporate physical activity, or monitor blood sugar. It started in the late 1990s through their Tyler Clinic and later offered telehealth in April of last year, which is when they saw a 41% increase in enrollment.
UT Health East Texas covers a very large service area, and many of these patients just can't come to Tyler for diabetes education, and so telehealth allows us to reach out to these patients and provide those services.
Wright says the age demographic ranges from 45 to 65 plus, but in the last 3 years, a third of their patients are from 19 to 44.
We're starting to screen at younger ages for diabetes.
And the other reason stems from the increased obesity rate impacting those younger adults and children. But the main educational point
is to pay attention to your diabetes and not sweep it under the rug. Keep your appointments with your doctor. Check your blood sugar. If you're noticing higher numbers, do something about it.
Christine Guevara, KLTV 7 News.
And the CDC says 90 to 95% of people with diabetes in this country have type 2. Just 5% of people have type 1.